The Miracle on 33rd. The Miracle just off 34th Street. The Knicks overcame a 22-point fourth-quarter deficit to steal Game 1 back from the Cavs, and here's how it went down. Jalen Brunson, this is what you were talking about earlier.
That's leadership.
Hyping up his team, entering Tuesday. Team 0-663 when trailing the way they...
That's Danny Green in the playoffs.
MSG is rocking at this point. Coach Kenny Atkinson, he made the decision to only use one timeout. I asked him why.
Yeah,
Mobley. It's a 4-point game, 3-point game now. Landry Shamet.
Contest, James. Contest.
And that's the thing. The Knicks spacing is so great that it was...
To both teams today, starting with Jalen Brunson.
They were playing great basketball. Had us on our heels, and just gotta give them a lot of credit. Obviously, we played well in the fourth and overtime, but we got to come out ready to go. Honestly, I think we did. It was the middle, second and third quarter where we let go of the rope. So that's our biggest takeaway.
It's you live between misery and awesomeness, in the playoffs. And this is, of course, misery, but this is probably the fourth miserable game, 4 or 5 miserable games we've had in the playoffs. So it's like, okay, come on, get back on the horse. We go back at it again tomorrow.
All right, so it's worth repeating the golden rule of Game 1, which is?
Never overreact.
Never overreact.
I mean never.
This feels like there may be an exception to this never, just because the Cavaliers had this in their grasp, and I can completely
No, there is not an exception to never.
There's no exception to the rule.
That's what he was just talking about, in all honesty, because he's talking about how they've had a bunch of tough losses in these playoffs so far. And I will point out, the Cavs are 8-7 in the playoffs. This is not a team that has not had some issues. They lost on R.J. Barrett dancing all over the basket in Game 4 in Toronto.
The Kawhi bounce.
The Kawhi bounce. They were down 2-0 to Detroit last series. They had a chance to close out at home in Game 6, laid an egg in that one. Cleveland has had moments where they've had to gather themselves. Now, this is a little bit more severe case. I'll give you that, Malika. But I think it's a mistake to think that this is over. The Cavs have been a team that have been resilient.
Not that it's over. It's just one of those games you could look back at the end of the series and
there's
say,
a lot of people within earshot of this building saying it's over.
I'm staring at one of them maybe right now, just off camera. But, Danny, if they're going to come back and win Game 2, and by the way, the Cavaliers, they fell down 0-2 in the last series and came back and won it in similar fashion. You are looking at Donovan Mitchell.
I am. This is a different team. This isn't the Detroit Pistons. This isn't the Toronto Raptors. Was Brandon Ingram was hurt. Okay, I'm just going to go to the corner. No, there's 2 with some change left. James hit one big basket, not good. So, Donovan, you got to be the guy that we've seen in Game 7 versus Detroit, attacking the paint. That doesn't mean just score for yourself, but you're setting up Evan Mobley. You're setting up Jared Allen, Max Strus. You can get to the paint better at this point in the game than I think James can. So you got to be the closer, and you got to have that aggressive and that mindset to do so.
I do believe this series is going to go 6 games. I picked the Knicks in 6, but the Cavs are going to look. Their game actually cost the Cavs
a game.
No, cost them the series last night. And
not abiding by the rule.
Here it is, because didn't last year something similar happen to the New York Knicks?
Something similar.
Didn't they blow a Game 1 to the Indiana Pacers? I don't think they ever fully regrouped after that.
In that case, that was correct.
Okay, so when you have these type of moments, it's demoralizing. And when I hear Donovan Mitchell speak after the post game, and I'm hearing Kenny, it's like they trying to play these psychological games with themselves. Oh, we just gonna move on. No, ain't no just moving on. You didn't been in these moments.
I mean, you tell yourself a lie and it becomes the truth, right?
And
I
also was on the other side where we was down, I believe, 24 points in 2008 on the road and came back and we got a game in L.A. So, again, just moments like this, blown opportunities. I think last night was a blown opportunity. It's going to cost the Cavs this series.
Well, I asked Jordan Clarkson, who was teammates with Donovan Mitchell when the Jazz blew that 25-point lead to the Clippers, what are you going to get out of Don next game? And he said, a very aggressive Donovan Mitchell. Game 2, Eastern Conference Finals. It's set. The Cavaliers, the Knicks. It's Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. You can tip things off with NBA Tip-Off. It's at 7 o'clock, and you can also stream this game on the ESPN app. But let's shift to some news here out of Dallas, because Jason Kidd out as head coach of the Mavericks after 5 seasons in what the team described as a mutual decision. Now, Kidd led the Mavericks to the 2024 finals, but he's missed the playoffs in the last 2 seasons. Earlier today, team president Masai Ujiri, he talked about his decision to move on from Kidd. Take a listen.
Every decision we are going to make here is going to be future-based. Yeah, we have a 19-year-old generational player on our roster, and we have to think, like that way. So we're not going to make decisions based on winning today. I don't think that would make sense for the organization. And in the last 2 weeks, I've continued to really evaluate this. We are looking at the future. We have a 19-year-old on this team, that can take us somewhere great. We have to think that way.
So Masai giving us a little bit of insight into his thinking there. Shams Charania broke the story. We were all at Madison Square Garden yesterday, and several executives I was around said, oh wow, this was surprising to a lot of people. Shams, what led to this decision?
Masai Ujiri has been thinking about this ever since he took over that job as president of the Dallas Mavericks. And it all stems from, for Masai Ujiri, having a fresh start with the Dallas Mavericks organization. Jason Kidd was fired. Several coaches were fired on his staff, scouts, other executives in that organization. And with Jason Kidd, they're eating 4 years and almost $45 million on his contract to let him go as head coach. And another thing that comes from this is the residue of the Luka Doncic trade. You think of the last 7 months, Nico Harrison fired, Anthony Davis traded, Jason Kidd fired. And there's no question, when I talk to people in Dallas, Mav sources tell me part of the conversation was most certainly Jason Kidd having a level of support for the Luka Doncic trade at the time, but just the level of culture. We've seen a lot of toxicity in Dallas over the last calendar year, a lot stemming from that Luka Doncic trade and what's come from all of that internally. And so now they're turning the page. Cooper Flagg is the face of the franchise. He will no longer have Jason Kidd as his coach. So
trying to kind of continue the clean slate here in Dallas. And so the million or maybe multi-million-dollar question here for the Mavericks. Hundreds of millions of dollars is what comes next.
Yeah, the biggest question for the Mavericks right now is Kyrie Irving's future. Masai Ujiri was asked about it today and said, we owe it to the organization to see Kyrie Irving and Cooper Flagg on the court. I'll tell you this, Malika, multiple contenders are keeping a very close eye on Kyrie Irving right now. He's got 1 guaranteed year left on his deal, and then he's got a player option, so that does give him some leverage on his future. He's 34 years old. He's a championship player in this league, but he's also got a level of equity in Dallas. We know he's also put a lot of equity into Cooper Flagg and his development this year. So Masai Ujiri has hinted they want to see these two guys, but what's the vision and how much can they show Kyrie Irving that we want you to be a part of this?
Absolutely, and Cooper's told me how much he sees Kyrie as a mentor for him in Dallas, so keeping them together would make all the sense in the world, but it's not just sense, it's dollars as well.
Also, Malika, for the record, I can smile. It's like, is it that hard to smile? But I can smile.
I blame the tape delay, Shams. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. We're in the city of brunch. We'll go together after this. Coming up, we're going to take an exclusive look at how Wemby's visit to the Shaolin Monastery